It's time for On Target Radio, Chicagoland's only radio show dedicated to educating, entertaining, and discussion of firearms, legislation, and your Second Amendment rights. Presented in part by the Illinois State Rifle Association, Illinois Gun Works, Safer USA, and Chuck's Gun Shop. Here's your host, firearm instructor, educator, and enthusiastic Second Amendment proponent, David Lombardo.
And we're back again with On Target Radio, Chicago's voice for the Second Amendment. I'm David Lombardo, and as always, sitting across the table from me, my astute and brilliant co-host, Tim Dalan. Say hello, Tim.
Hello, Tim. It's astute and brilliant? Really?
Okay. Well, you know, he's here. He shows up. That's something. He goes down and lets people in the door. He was a Marine. We cut him slack. Been an interesting week, you know. Couple of things happened this week, Timmy, that were kind of interesting. One of them that I really wanted to bring up was somebody told me that they knew our mayor of Chicago heard the show.
Really?
That's what I was told. I was in a gun store. Who will be nameless because I don't want them to be raided by the city of Chicago.
The Gestapo?
Somebody said that they knew that he has heard. They didn't say he listened to a whole show, that he's heard it. So.
I would think he would. You know, why wouldn't he?
At some point, yeah. So
I'm sure that he has nothing more exciting to do tonight than listen to us. Well, I would imagine he's on there.
I don't know that he's on right now, but I, again, would like to extend an invitation to Mayor Rahm.
I wonder if he's watching our video.
You don't mind if I do the show, do you? I don't mean to get in your way. We would like to invite Mayor Emanuel to come on the show and, to discuss his views on gun control. We respect his right to have his views, but we would like to chat a bit with him. I respect the man. I mean, he's doing some good stuff. I like the concept of the Riverwalk. I think it's a great idea. Right. I just think, the whole gun control issues. But I got another thing. This week, I went around to various gun stores, and we got these countertop things now that hawk the radio show, right?
Right.
And I went around to gun stores all over. I spent 2 days doing it. And I had numerous people, and this is, I kid you not, numerous people who knew who we were. Two people, one of them at Rinks in Lockport, recognized my voice and came up to me in a parking lot and said, "Are you the guy with the gun show?" I go, "Yeah, how do you know?" And he goes, "I recognize your voice."
Was he really sure he hadn't heard it down on Whacker?
See, you have a way of diluting everything that I say. You're a partner in this thing. You should be happy that this is happening. Here's the other thing. And you know what? We have like resident cynics who are in this in our group today. This show is going to go downhill fast. And here's another thing. This week we made a deal. We're going to have the Chicagoland gun show, which is going to be co-located with the Chicagoland Outdoor Show in January. And we are a sponsor, and we will be there as we're radio celebrities now. Can you believe that?
Really?
Well, I am.
Do I get a raise?
No, you don't get anything. Actually, I'm going to take money from you because you're winning. So that's coming up. We'll talk more about that in the future. And the other thing is I just wanted to thank you for pounding out yet another bullet from my Kimber. It was from the spawn of Satan, from the Lee Progressive 1000, when I loaded 86 trillion rounds of 40 caliber and 45 caliber. I used to shamelessly make fun of people who had squib loads. You'd hear bang, 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 and I would make fun. Until a year ago, I did it. And now I've done it, 6 times in a year?
I would like to also say that to all you Lee Progressive users out there, you have a nice piece of equipment. The issue that David was just talking about is absolutely, totally, positively, without a doubt, operator error. So
thank you. And your next job will be where? So tonight, because and I had the Lee Progressive, I call the spawn of Satan. I gave it to our friend Jeff,
right,
who I think has chained it up and cemented it in his crawl space. But anyway, tonight, because of this bad experiences I've had, we are going to be talking about reloading and long range rifle shooting, and we have some pretty heavy hitters. I should say pretty heavy shooters, probably. That we're going to be talking with. And so we will take calls at 312-642-5600. That's 312-642-5600, or go to Facebook. And like our page on Target Radio, and you can ask a question there.
Yes, sir.
In the studio tonight, we have Ed Janka, old friend Ed Janka. Old, friend, Ed Janka, who's been a high-power shooter, high-power competition for 14 years at the Illinois State Rifle Association range and at Camp Perry for the past 10 years. Ed has consistently reloaded his own match ammo to ensure consistency for each shot. Ed is an NRA rifle, pistol, and shotgun instructor, an NRA range safety officer, and helps teach the civilian marksmanship clinics at Aurora Sportsman's Club, where he's also a member of the board of directors. So, welcome, Ed.
Hello, Dave.
And Bob Brudd. Bob started out shooting trap, something he still does on a weekly basis, and after joining Aurora Sportsman's Club, moved to shooting short-range precision bench rest rifle, which we'll chat about. And after attending a 3-day original Pennsylvania 1,000-yard bench rest club class in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, he contracted to have a rifle built in 6mm Dasher caliber by highly respected gunsmith Mark King in 2009. Bob started shooting competitively at the end of 2010 and shot his first full year of IBS competition in 2011. Bob, welcome.
Thank you.
And last but certainly not least, my old friend Lynn Garnand. Lynn is a master reloader with more than 40 years' experience and loads ammunition for a number of long-range competition teams as well as hunters who are shooting at extended distances out west. He recently began Safe Side, a company devoted to reloading education and custom ammunition manufacture, and is building a 2,700 square foot reloading facility at the Elite Tactics and Training Center in Kenosha, Wisconsin. He anticipates being fully licensed by the ATF to manufacture and sell ammunition by the end of the month. Lynn is an NRA training counselor and chief range safety officer, and also teaches the specialized long-range rifle course that teaches a simple method of calibrating the guns, sights, and ammunition, enabling very accurate long-range shooting and predictability of the gun's performance in any long-range situation. Lynn, as always, welcome.
Good to be here.
And gentlemen, long-range rifle and reloading. Let's just kick it off with somebody. Why don't you step up to the plate? Short, succinct, what exactly is reloading for those people who are unfamiliar with it?
Reloading is basically reusing, or if you have new brass, that's fine, but you basically load your own ammunition using new or brass that came from your gun, using the bullet that you choose to use and the powder charge and the powder that you choose to use for a particular type of shooting and a particular type of gun. It's called tuning the ammo to the gun.
Ed,
and
as a long-range shooter?
Yeah, that's very important for long-range shooting because you need to have the exact bullet that you need to get out through your gun, through your rifle. The correlation between the barrel and the bullet is very important, and particularly the distance that bullet travels before it engages the grooves in your rifle.
You're listening to On Target Radio, and we're talking with Bob. Bob, is that true then? You're a long-range guy. How important is it?
Well, the thing I would add to that is when you're shooting a precision rifle, you're probably picking out your own barrel manufacturer, your own action manufacturer, your own stock maker, your own trigger maker. In other words, you're building a custom gun. So you really want to make a custom cartridge to shoot with that gun. It depends on whether your barrel is button rifled or cut rifled. They all shoot differently. They all break in differently. And essentially, the benefit of hand loading is you come up with a diet that your specific gun likes to eat.
Does it make a difference in terms of accuracy then the further away you go? How profound of a difference does it make?
I would say it makes a big difference. The further you are from the target, the greater the discrepancy is built into the trajectory of the bullet. At 1,000 yards, which Bob shoots, it's very important that his rounds leave the barrel consistently, and that's important whether you're shooting at 600 yards or 1,000 yards, or you're taking a shot at an elk at 400 yards. You need to be consistent with how your rifle will perform and how that bullet's going to leave the barrel the same way every time to get the right trajectory.
So you're looking for consistency in everything that you do?
Yes.
Which I would assume also extends to the way you hold the rifle and set everything up. And
Yep, everything you do. Consistency equals accuracy. Plus, there's the huge satisfaction of when it works, you made it. and that's very rewarding.
We've got about 30 seconds before a break, but the thing that you commonly hear about reloading is it makes it less expensive, and no one's actually really even said that so far.
That's true. I shoot long range an 80 grain Sierra bullet. If I go to the store and buy a match grade 80 grain bullet, it's going to cost about $1 to $1.10 or $1.15 a round. I load mine for about 40 cents.
So it actually does have an economic impact.
Yes.
When we come back, we'll be with, again, Lynn Garnand, Ed Janka, and Bob Brudd. And we're going to talk a little bit about what does it take to get into reloading. I think that would be a good thing to hit on next.
Absolutely.
What kind of training and equipment. So we're going to be back after a few messages with more On Target Radio.
The latest traffic every 15 minutes from the PropertyTax.com Traffic Center.
Good evening, I'm Laura Vaughn, and all of our expressways and tollways are moving at the posted speed limit. There is some construction for you to watch out for on the outbound Dan Ryan. 2 right lanes are scheduled to be blocked just past the Stevenson. It's not causing a problem as far as delays go. I see an intermittent delay getting into downtown on the inbound Dan Ryan. Still about a 15-minute trip in and out of downtown from 95th Street. There's extra road work on the Tri-State besides all that long-term road work that's been there forever. Right at the Stevenson, southbound the 2 right lanes are blocked, and northbound the center lane blocked. And if you run into some delays in either direction of Lakeshore Drive between Foster and Hollywood, they're painting lines in various lanes. On the northwest side of Chicago, there's a crash at Cumberland and Forest Preserve Avenue. Avoid that area if you can. Slight chance of rain overnight, low 41. It's 45 degrees. Next update in 15 minutes on AM 560 WIND.
His call screener has a call screener. The FCC pays him a license fee. His wife tapes his mouth shut because he even talks in his sleep. He is
Steve Cochran, the most interesting talk show host on the radio. He doesn't always tell you what to think, but when he does, he's usually right. Afternoons from 5 to 7 on AM 560 WIND.
Attention firearm owners or those considering exercising your Second Amendment rights. I want to tell you about Illinois Gun Works. From void services and new firearm purchases to gunsmith services and an indoor shooting range, Don and his staff will assist you without attitude or pressure. Need training? Illinois Gun Works' popular Illinois Responsible Firearm Owners class teaches you the regulations to legally defend yourself, own, and transport your firearm. There's a required class for a Chicago firearm permit and popular new shooter familiarization class, including one for women. Now, I took this class and urge you to reserve your spot fast for this fun class. Illinois Gun Works offers a wide selection of training and certification classes, from security work to those just considering ownership, even special group classes. Illinois Gun Works, Chicagoland's full-service firearm headquarters, is located on Grand Avenue, just a block west of Harlem in Elmwood Park. Call 708-452-0040 or visit IllinoisGunWorks.com. That's 708-452-0040.
The following is a paid announcement.
Illinois is the most broke state, and it is the most corrupt state in America. My name is Jack Roser. I'm 89 years old, and I can tell you that I have never seen our great state in such dire financial condition. The IEA Education Union is the biggest culprit. It has corrupted politics by taking hundreds of millions of dollars in dues from the teachers and using most of it to finance the Democrat Party under the 40-year control of Michael Madigan, a Chicago attorney. As payback, Democrats have given in to union demands for all the years. Madigan has been in control, which has caused this financial debacle. The first vote that your Democratic legislator will make after the election will be to keep Madigan in power. This once great state is now a disgrace under Madigan. If you want to fire Madigan, don't vote for the Democrat. Vote for anyone except the Democrat. Once Madigan loses his control, you and your family will be better off.
Paid for by ChampionNews.net.
You're listening to On Target Radio on AM 560 WIND with David Lombardo. Here's David with more interesting conversation on firearms, safety, your Second Amendment rights, and much more. To participate, call the studio at 312-642-5600.
And we're back. More On Target Radio. And coming up is, actually, Tim said it is not It's not a tip of the week. I think it's a rant of the week. So we're going to do Tim's rant of the week, and then we're going to go to the phones. We have a phone call.
It's a mild rant.
It's a mild rant. Go ahead, Tim. Just lay your love on us.
This week's rant is brought to you by the Illinois State Rifle Association. Discussing firearm safety with your child is a very personal issue. We understand that. Some parents believe you should do it as soon as possible when the kids are maybe 2 or 3 and continue to do it as they grow up. Others may think that this would be crazy and something that shouldn't be done until some certain age, maybe when they're in their teens. I just want to give everyone something to think about and to just consider that putting it off may not be the right thing to do. I have a friend that had his kids actually shooting when they were 3 years old, which I happen to think is actually pretty cool. But I have other friends that would shake their heads and probably think that this would somehow be child abuse. Yes, most everyone would tell their children at any age that they should not touch a gun if they see one. But then they leave it at that. Is just telling your child don't touch it and leaving it at that right? Do you remember a time when you were young and did something your parents told you very strongly not to do? Now, I fully support everyone's right to raise their child as they see fit. I do believe, however, that when firearms are in the house, you need to have some kind of conversation and keep having that conversation as long as they are under your roof. We as responsible gun owners can't keep our heads buried in the sand and just tell ourselves, my kid wouldn't do that. At some age, and probably much younger than you think, your child knows where your guns are, including that loaded one you may keep in your nightstand. If you need help talking with your child, the NRA's, the Eddie Eagle Gun Safe program is a great place to start. You can either Google it or go to nrahq.org/safety/eagle for more information. This has been your rant of the week, sponsored by the Illinois State Rifle Association.
Pithy as always, truly. Timothy.
I never know if pithy is an insult or not.
No, it's full of pith. It's a wonderful thing. Very good, very very nice, and you're absolutely right. I'm pleased. It wasn't really a rant, and we have Bill.
I'm pleased that you're pleased.
Well, we have Bill on the phone from Yorkville. Bill, are you there?
Yeah, hi Dave. How are you?
We're just fine. What is your question?
My question is about annealing on the case. What's the best annealing machine to buy or to use instead of just using a torch and trying to spin it around? And is it worth annealing a case after it's been fired maybe twice, or should you always do it before you start firing a brand new case?
Thank you. Bob?
In the bench rest game, there are those of us who anneal our brass, which means that we heat the neck with a torch or a pair of torches to restore the elasticity that came in the brass when it was virgin and brand new from the manufacturer. The annealing machine that I happen to use is made by a fellow down in Texas named Giraud, G-I-R-A-U-D, and you can find him online. His is a vertical machine where the cases are stacked vertically and they drop one at a time and are gently spun while the torches heat them. There are other devices that are like a turntable. I would suggest you go to AccurateShooter.com and you look up annealing machines.
Great. Listening to On Target Radio, AM 560 WIND. Lynn, what does it take in terms of basic gear to get into reloading and sort of what are the costs?
Well, I get that question a lot when I do reloading classes, and my answer is somewhere around, and generally less than $300, and it depends on what you're going to load. What you do in the pistol world is generally going to take a different type of equipment than what you do in the rifle world. You need some common equipment, digital caliper, a scale that can read to 1/10 of a grain of powder, dies. The press that you use is going to be very dependent on what you're doing. If you're loading rifle, a very simple single-stage press will work fine. They're about $150. And a very solid bench. And then take a class. There are a million little details, none of which are hard, but all of which are important. And not taking a class and learning to reload on YouTube can actually be much more dangerous than you think.
Having survived a number of squib loads in the past year, I would certainly underscore the desirability to take a class. It's not, once you get the hang of it, it's not rocket science.
Right.
But but it's not trivial.
Correct.
And then it gets really subtle.
It does, and that's kind of the relaxation of it, because you have to concentrate on that process to keep from loading those squibs. That lets you clear your mind, and that's sort of the relaxation until, of course, the gun goes click, and then other thoughts go through your mind.
It's muscle memory, just like when we talk about shooting and practicing over and over again, and eventually you do it unconsciously without thinking about it. Reloading, when you first start out, you have to pay very close attention. You can't take anything for granted. You got to watch every step. You can't watch television and answer the phone and talk to your buddy while you're doing it. You need to pay attention to every single step.
And that's literally, I remember the first squib load I had. I distinctly remember the phone rang, and I walked away, answered the phone, and when I came back,
had an interruption.
Yeah,
sure.
So it is. It's a really big deal.
Yeah, in my loading area, I do not have a radio, a television, or anything. I just concentrate on each step that I'm performing. And whenever I get walked away or get called away, I come back and I take a full minute or two to say, where am I? Look in each case to see what's in there, what's not in there, to make sure that I load properly and safely.
You're listening to AM 560 WIND on Target Radio. I guess the question that I would have is, can you literally reload any ammunition at all? Is there any limit as to what type of ammunition you can reload?
You can't reload aluminum or steel. You can't reload...
Now, when you say aluminum or steel?
Aluminum or steel cases.
Cases, okay.
So you can reload brass cases. Nickel-plated cases are still brass. Those are very reloadable. Pistol cases reload many, many times. Rifle cases, not as many. But sure, if it's got a boxer primer, which is the standard primer that we all use, you can reload it. And if you can assuming you can find dies for it, where it gets really interesting is where you have the Japanese, what is that?
Arisaka.
The Arisaka, the British .303 Enfield, where the ammo is very hard to find.
And expensive.
Yeah, and when you can reload that, it is so sweet because it is so much better than what you're going to find. And again, that huge sense of satisfaction when it works.
You know, Lynn, speaking of nickel cases, I have found, just in my experience, with 357 nickel, 357 cases, they have a tendency to crack.
Yeah, there's a reason for that. So when nickel is plated on the brass, the plating process makes the nickel more brittle. So in the firing process, when the case expands and then contracts, it'll only expand and contract a few times, and with a 357, it's a little heavier load.
Right.
And when they crack a long crack down the case.
Yeah, they do.
So nickel cases, from a reloading perspective, when I load for competitive shooters, they want nickel because it feeds smoother, it's more reliable.
Yes.
But they leave that at the range. That's not your long-term pool of cases you want to reuse.
Right. I have noticed nickel in other, like, semi-autos, seems to fare a lot better.
45s will still crack just as bad.
But well, just from what I totally believe you, but just from what I've done with nickel, I've had far fewer issues with semi-auto nickel cases than I've had with 357.
Yeah, 357s are probably the worst.
Right.
What can you typically get out of, in terms of number of times you reload it, out of a brass, let's say 45 or 40 caliber?
20, 30 times, no problem.
What causes it to degrade? The pressure, too much, when you get into higher loads?
I think you work the mouth, for one thing, the expansion, the constant expansion and contraction, the working of the mouth. I typically see splits at the mouth. Same thing with rifle.
Rifle's the same way.
But rifle, I mean, how often do you reload 223? Is it 6, 8 times?
5, 6 times. That's
so it's a completely different game. A bottleneck cartridge stretches more. There's a little bit more going on there, where a straight pistol cartridge just expands and contracts.
So from a pure economic point of view, if you take, let's say, a 45, what does it cost to reload?
Depending on how you buy your components, and the answer there is in bulk, about $7.50 a box.
As versus 25.
22, 25.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. 9 mils you can reload for $6 a box.
So there it is. We are going to take another short break, and we will come back with Don Moran from the Illinois State Rifle Association, who will be checking in and giving us an update on what's happening there. And after that, we'll talk more about reloading with our guests, Lynn Garnand, Ed Janka, and Bob Brudd.
Every 4 years, this country makes a huge decision. Who will be our president for the next 4 years? This year, this decision may be more important than ever in our lifetime. The choices are stark, and the contrast between the two sides is readily apparent. This radio station is actively involved in making sure you are registered to vote and that you can move others to do the same. We have created a website that will get you started. VoteTheChange.com, because this time, you are the answer. AM 560, WIND.
Fox News Radio, I'm Jane Metzler. The East Coast getting ready for Hurricane Sandy, about 500 miles southeast of New York City.
This is the largest threat to human life our state has experienced in anyone's lifetime.
Connecticut Governor Dan Malloy, Fox's Doug McElway in Rehoboth reached Delaware.
There have been waves measured out at sea by buoys out there as high as 34 feet. The ships at the Norfolk Naval Base have been sent out to sea. Believe it or not, they're safer in waves like that and beyond the hurricane than they are in port.
New York, New Jersey, and Philadelphia shutting down public transportation. Amtrak suspending service tomorrow from south of D.C. to New England. Airlines already canceling nearly 6,000 flights. The storm also expected to dump up to 2 feet of snow from North Carolina to the Midwest. Fox News, we report, you decide.
The latest traffic every 15 minutes from the PropertyTax.com Traffic Center.
Good evening. I'm Laura Vaughn. We're still watching this accident on the northwest side at Cumberland and Forest Preserve Avenue. That intersection may be partially blocked. Check again with your expressways and tollways. Everything's moving fairly well. If you're on Lakeshore Drive and you come upon some delays between Foster and Hollywood, it's very possible that they're painting stripes. That's scheduled to be going on in various lanes in both directions between Foster and Hollywood. There's some extra road work on the Tri-State Tollway besides all the long-term projects going on. It's set up at the Stevenson, southbound in the 2 right lanes and northbound in the center lane. No detectable delays at this time. There's also some road work on the outbound Dan Ryan in the 2 right lanes just past the Stevenson. Once again, not causing any major delays. There's a slight chance of overnight showers and a low of 41. Wind later this week. It's 45 degrees. Next update in 15 minutes on AM 560 WIND.
Chuck's Gun Shop proudly serves Riverdale and the surrounding communities. Conveniently located near the 142nd Street exit of the Bishop Ford Expressway, Chuck's Gun Shop is staffed by friendly, skilled professionals who will help guide a first-time shooter and assist you in obtaining a State of Illinois firearm owner's identification card. Chuck offers a full line of new handguns, rifles, shotguns, knives, and accessories. Chuck's also buys, sells, and trades used firearms and has a gunsmith on location that will provide expert care for your favorite firearm. Chuck's features a 6-lane indoor shooting range. Bring your own firearm or rent one from their wide assortment. If you live in Chicago, Chuck's Gun Shop offers the required Chicago Firearms Permit course. Chuck's Gun Shop is open Monday through Saturday and located at 14310 Indiana Avenue in Riverdale. Visit their website, chucksgunshop.net, or call 708-849-4455. That's 708-849-4455. Chuck's Gun Shop, serving Riverdale and surrounding communities.
I'm David Lombardo, president of Safer USA, Chicagoland's most popular firearm training school. We continue to offer our popular home protection and concealed carry seminar every month. This 8-hour seminar covers everything you need to know to safely and legally use a firearm for both concealed carry and home invasion, and qualifies you for Florida and Utah concealed carry permits good in about 30 states. Be sure to call and ask how we can help you raise funds for your organization or provide a guest speaker. We're also offering the NRA Basic Pistol Course and our Tactical Pistol 1 and 2. As always, I offer private one-on-one instruction for Basic Pistol, Chicago Firearm Certification, and Basic Home Defense. For further information, please call 877-954-3030 or go to saferusa.com. Safer USA, choosing to own a firearm is your business. Teaching to own it responsibly is ours.
That's 877-954-3030 or SAFERUSA.com.
Ladies, how many pounds have you gained since you turned 40? If you're like most women, probably 10 or more. But hundreds of thousands of women have discovered the secret to losing weight after 40. It's called Amberin, and it's the only product on the market today clinically proven to cause sustained weight loss for women over 40. With no special diets or exercise programs, you can try Amberin absolutely risk-free and get a 1-month supply free by calling 1-800-9 1-800-920-9650. The leading cause of weight gain in women over 40 is hormonal imbalance. Until you balance your hormones, losing weight can be practically impossible. Amberin balances hormones naturally, so the extra weight can fall right off. Yes, even that stubborn tummy fat. Plus, Amberin relieves other symptoms of hormonal imbalance, like hot flashes, night sweats, low libido, sleeplessness, and more. Be one of the first 50 callers right now, and they'll send you a complimentary, risk-free trial with a 30-day supply free. Free supplies are limited, so call now. 1-800-920-9650. That's 1-800-920-9650.
We now return to On Target on AM 560 WIND. If you have a question or opinion, the studio line is 312-642-5600. Now, here's your host, firearm expert and educator, David Lombardo.
And we're back.
It's good to be back.
It's good to be back.
It's good to be king. Yes, it is. It's. I was just having a little discussion here with the people, and I had no idea what was going on around me, and I apologize. John from Arlington Heights.
Hi, Dave. It's John D'Alessandro in Arlington Heights. How you doing?
We're doing good. You got about 1 minute. What's your question, John?
Okay. I'm shooting 180 grain Spear hot core flat point out of my 35 Remington Marlin 36A with a 24-inch barrel. At 200 yards, I'm grouping into 4 inches. I want to try 41.5 grains of AA 2460 instead of 42 in the hopes of tightening up that group from 4 inches down to whatever. Can I reasonably expect an improvement in the tightness of that group with a half grain drop in powder charge?
All right, thank you, John.
So you can, but if it doesn't happen, you may have some other things to do. Typically, you will get better groups, you'll get better accuracy at the lower end of the loading range for a given powder.
Right.
But don't
Top
forget,
end is 43 according to the ballistician.
right? So I actually end up more at the bottom end in my loads than I do at the top. And don't be afraid to look at another powder.
Okay, thanks a lot, John. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Don Moran, are you there?
Yes, sir. How's David?
I'm glad to have you on. How's the campaign going?
Well, it's getting close to November 6th, so...
You're going for Board, Will County.
Will County Board, District 3, actually the Romeoville, Bolingbrook area.
And I guess we don't have to say that you're pro-Second Amendment since you're president of the Illinois State Rifle Association.
I'm pretty sure that's true.
All right. So what's happening with the ISRA?
Well, we're trying to make sure all of our members get out to vote, and everybody who's concerned about Second Amendment issues. You had a guest on a week ago, and he gave some endorsements on your show. They aren't necessarily the same people that we endorsed in races. Gun control issues in Illinois tend to be a geographical thing more than a party thing once you get outside of Chicago. Someplace between Interstate 55 and Interstate 80 to the south and Route 47 to the west, the mindset changes about gun control even within the Democratic political party or the Republican political party. We find that downstate Democrats are often more cooperative with us on our issues than some near-in suburb Republicans. So if someone is interested in seeing what our lobbyists think are the people that they should vote for in November in order to move our agenda, and our lobbyists are the people who have to work with them, if they go to our Political Victory Fund website, which is ISRA-PVF.com, they can get it and go to the very bottom of the page. There's a link there to download the PDF file that we put in our latest Illinois Shooter newspaper.
Okay. Is there anything else that's exciting with the ISRA this week or this week, yeah?
Well, that's it until November 6th. We're concentrating on making sure we get the right people in office so that we can move our agenda come January. We'll be stuck with what we have for right now. After the election, we'll have a little lame duck session in the veto session, and then we'll see where we go in January. But, our principal thing in Illinois right now is to try and move concealed carry. So,
and that's a big question. Are there some contested races that would make a difference in concealed carry in Illinois?
Well, right now we're with, I won't say specific ones, Dave. If everybody just goes to our voters guide, if the people that get elected on our voters guide on our webpage get in, we'll be able to pass it. Okay? Otherwise,
we are close, aren't we?
Status quo, we're going to end up having to wait for one of these court cases that we're involved in to do something to move the ball, probably.
We've got about a minute, but we are actually close to the number of votes we need, are we not?
We're within a couple of votes of moving this thing in the Illinois House, having a 3/5 majority, which is what the Speaker has ruled we need to have. It's unfortunate that he ruled that we need to have 3/5 because our bill affects home rule. When they passed a gambling bill through the Illinois House that had like 11 amendments that specifically spelled out that they overruled home rule, and it was able to pass the House with a simple majority.
So there we are, just hanging out as it is. And I think we're hoping that something will happen next year, are we not?
I'm hoping that we will be able to bring it up in veto session.
This year?
I think, yes. Well, it all depends on what happens in the Federal Appeals Court in Southern Illinois.
Okay, excellent.
If we get a decision on one of those cases, or if we get a decision from the Illinois Supreme Court on a case that they have before them, we could see this thing move in the November veto session.
Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed. It's, as you well know, the demand for it in Illinois is astoundingly high, and it's something we're following closely.
In a country that doesn't have it.
Exactly. All right, we are going to be back after these few messages. Don, thank you very much for calling in, as always.
Thanks, Don.
And we will be back. We'll be back with Lynn Garnand, Ed Janka, and Bob Brudd. We're going to talk a little more about reloading, and we have Noel from Crystal Lake on the line. We'll get to him as soon as we come back.
The latest traffic every 15 minutes from the PropertyTax.com Traffic Center.
Good evening. I'm Laura Vaughn. On the northwest side of Chicago at Cumberland and Forest Preserve Avenue, there was a very serious accident. I think the accident is clear, but police are still on the scene, and it's a slow go through that intersection. Light volume on our expressways and tollways, but there is some construction you should be aware of. On Lake Store Drive, they're painting stripes in various lanes in both directions between Foster and Hollywood. So if you come upon a delay in that area, that's what it is. It should be a quick trip to get around. On the Dan Ryan outbound, there's roadwork scheduled in the two right lanes just past the Stevenson. Doesn't seem to be causing a delay. Sometimes I see a little inbound delay. There's some extra roadwork in both directions of the Tri-State Tollway at the Stevenson Expressway, southbound in the two right lanes and northbound in the center lane. There's a slight chance of rain overnight with a low of 41. It's 45 degrees. Next update in 15 minutes on AM 560 WIND.
For 35 years, Pelcher's Shooter's Supply has served the Lansing area. Pelcher's offers new and used firearms sales, appraisals, and gunsmithing service. Pelcher's new spacious showroom has hundreds of major brand firearms and supplies, and PelcherGuns.com features daily specials. Pelcher's Shooter's Supply, on the corner of Ridge Road and Henry Street in downtown Lansing. Online at PelcherGuns.com or call 708-474-0662.
If you want a permanent paycheck for life that you can never outlive, here's urgent news for you. Wall Street is broken. If you're relying on mutual funds, stocks, or bonds to secure your retirement, you need a wake-up call. With today's volatile economy, the shoe will fall again. There's a huge difference between your I hope so money and your I know so money. This will take care of your I know so money. Visit retainyourgains.com or call 866-515-6669 and request your free DVD, Paycheck for Life. This video series tells you the secrets about a new hybrid annuity.
Now offering a new 12% bonus to all new customers.
Your current IRA, 401k, or savings may not be able to last as long as you will. Call 866-515-6669 or visit retainyourgains.com and order the video series Wall Street hopes you never see. 866-515-6669 or visit retainyourgains.com.
Index annuities are insurance products, not FDIC insured. Features and benefits vary by insurance carrier. Bonus products may carry longer terms.
The emails you send every day are helping re-elect Barack Obama. Gmail, Yahoo, AOL, and other free email providers scan your messages, profit from your information, and then support big government liberals. Your privacy, your freedom is under attack. Get the official email address of the conservative movement. Get your name at Reagan.com. Reagan.com will never scan your emails, ever. Help spread the values and principles of Ronald Reagan with every email you send. Get your name at Reagan.com today.
You're listening to On Target Radio on AM 560 WIND with David Lombardo. Here's David with more interesting conversation on firearms, safety, your Second Amendment rights, and much more. To participate, call the studio at 312-642-5600.
And we're back with Lynn Garnand, Ed Janka, and Bob Brudd, and we have a call from Noel in Crystal Lake. Noel, you there?
Hi, Dave. How's it going?
It's going great, my friend. What can we do for you?
Not much. I'd just like to say we appreciate your show here, and I met you this weekend at the range. I set my phone to remind me at 9 o'clock.
Oh, yes, I remember you now.
Yes, and Lynn's a former instructor of mine, so I've taken many of his classes. So, anyways, my question was, for somebody who's looking into reloading, how much do they expect to spend on the whole equipment to be able to reload?
Figure about $300. No, nice to hear from you, by the way.
Yes, thank you. Likewise.
So vibratory cleaner, a press with dies, caliper, $30 or $40 electronic scale,
powder
drop, yeah. And if you use a Lee Classic turret, the safety prime, that's a $25 item. All told, it'll be at $300 or a little less. Ready to rock.
Anything to stay away from.
In terms of equipment?
Yeah, like something that's been known that it's just not good. Stay away from it, you know.
How about a Lee Progressive 1000?
Yeah, the problem with the Lee 1000, and David is a refugee of that press. If you are not a tinkerer, it is not for you. The scream factor in setting up that press is about a 10 on a scale of 1 to 5.
You have to mount it incredibly stably. You can't mount it on a press board, table, something like that. You also can't try to slam 800 rounds an hour through it. You just have to be slow and steady. You can't jerk the thing around, and it can be somewhat reliable. But Lynn is very true.
Yeah, and I would say if you're pistol shooting, there's a tendency to want to jump into a Dalan Progressive. There's a lot of things in motion at one time. It's not a place to start. This is why I like to start people with a Lee Classic turret. 150, 180 rounds an hour. You can go as slow and easy as you want, and then if you want to move it, you can. You can also use it as a regular non-indexing single-stage press. Press is $97, and the dies are $33, and you can build that up to what you want. And when you want to change calibers, it's about $50.
Right.
So it's a nice, easy place to start to get into it. And it's always a nice press to have on the side if you get into something bigger, because there'll always be something else you'll need to do. So it's not like you're going to waste your money if you do move up.
Just everybody remember, you got to be very slow and steady with it. You can't run through this at 90 miles an hour when you're a new user.
Okay, thank you, Noel. We appreciate your phone call.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay.
And we have on Facebook, our old friend Ed Ronkowski said he reloads with 280 rifle bullets and got groups with a semi-automatic rifle under 2 inches. Recently, with the same settings, almost all my bullets tumbled out of the barrel, going through the paper target sideways every which way. What would cause that?
What was he shooting?
It says 280 rifle bullets. That's all he has.
Well, if they tumbled, he wasn't spin stabilized. So it sounds to me like he's going too slow. And, a rule of thumb, you need to be spending at 125,000 to 250,000 revolutions per minute. The way to figure out what that is revolutions per minute is equal to muzzle velocity times 720 divided by twist rate in inches. If he's not somewhere between 125,000 and 250,000, he's too slow, and they're going to tumble.
There you go, Ed. You're tumbling. Quick thing, we got about 2 minutes left in this segment. For people who are interested in long-range shooting, what does it take to get into that? What's a sort of equipment cost are we looking at?
Well, for someone who's new with a limited budget and who doesn't want to jump in and drop $3,000-$4,000 right off the bat, I would recommend looking through a Savage catalog. And Savage makes 2 entry-level factory-built bench rest rifles in 6.5 by 284 caliber. They're reasonably priced, and it's a good entry-level gun. I've known people who started out that way shooting at 1,000 yards and who shot quite effectively. Once you've done that and decided if you really love the sport, then you can go ahead and get a custom gun built.
Okay, so overall you're looking at roughly, because you need more than just a rifle. I mean, I see guys wear these coats and all kinds of stuff.
Not for bench rest shooting.
Not for bench resting.
No, bench rest shooting is for old people like me who are too crickety to get down on the ground anymore. You're sitting at a concrete bench on a stool. You've got a front rest, a heavy bag rear rest, and you need a rifle and a scope.
And that's it.
That's it.
So for all of us old guys, well, that's what you do, isn't it? You do bench rest, don't you?
No, I shoot something called F-class. You shoot prone on the ground on a shooting mat.
Okay.
Through a scope.
Through a scope.
Okay. See, I'm not a rifle. Now I've got we got a minute, but I've got an AR. I've got a carbine and I got a standard AR.
If you've got a standard AR with a 1-in-7 twist, you're going to need to shoot an 80 grain bullet or 79 grain bullet, loaded to about 3,000 feet per second. And generally, those 2 bullets will not fit in your magazine. So when we go to national matches, the rules are you load them one at a time anyway. So the fact that you can't get it in your magazine doesn't matter, because the NRA rules for a 600-yard match is you load each round individually anyway.
And that cartridge would be good for, 600 yards?
That cartridge would be good for 600 yards.
All right, so that's it. That's the thing. I'll have to check it out. We're going to be back, closing up the show here in just a few minutes, and we'll have 1 or 2 more quick questions with Lynn Garnand, Ed Janka, and Bob Brudd. And this is On Target Radio, AM 560 WIND.
Chuck's Gun Shop proudly serves Riverdale and the surrounding communities. Conveniently located near the 142nd Street exit of the Bishop Ford Expressway, Chuck's Gun Shop is staffed by friendly, skilled professionals who will help guide a first-time shooter and assist you in obtaining a State of Illinois firearm owner's identification card. Chuck offers a full line of new handguns, rifles, shotguns, knives, and accessories. Chuck's also buys, sells, and trades used firearms and has a gunsmith on location that will provide expert care for your favorite firearm. Chuck's features a 6-lane indoor shooting range. Bring your own firearm or rent one from their wide assortment. If you live in Chicago, Chuck's Gun Shop offers the required Chicago firearms permit course. Chuck's Gun Shop is open Monday through Saturday and located at 14310 Indiana Avenue in Riverdale. Visit their website, chucksgunshop.net, or call 708-849-4455. That's 708-849-4455. Chuck's Gun Shop, serving Riverdale and surrounding communities.
If you want to work until you drop, reduce your standard of living in retirement, or lose more of your hard-earned money in the stock market, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to generate a steady, predictable income, I'm talking real wealth and financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. A free report is now available that reveals the money-making secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. This report reveals how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and wealth-building power without risking your hard-earned money in the Wall Street casino. How you can bypass banks and credit cards and become your own source of financing, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement and know your money will last as long as you do. And it beats the pants off any IRA or 401k. To learn more about this method and to get your free special report, visit bankonyourself.com right now. That's bankonyourself.com. www.bankonyourself.com.
You're listening to On Target on AM 560 WIND with David Lombardo. Here's David with more interesting conversation on firearms, safety, your Second Amendment rights, and much more. To participate, call the studio at 312-642-5600.
And we're back, and we're talking about reloading and long-range rifle. Our guests this evening here in the studio are Lynn Garnand, Ed Janka, and Bob Brudd. We have a call from William in Steger. William, what's your question?
Yes. Every gun I ever owned says that my warranty would be null and void if I use reloads in it. And I was wondering about that situation.
Okay.
It's true.
True.
A Glock says same thing, and we all shoot our reloads in our guns.
We shoot them anyway.
That's right.
Actually, our loads are going to be lower power anyway, so.
Then off the shelf?
You bet.
Yeah. Don Moran sent a Facebook thing, and Don wanted to point out, he said, to make sure that people know the rules for the sport before they buy their firearms. They should attend a match, and they should talk to competitors before they go out and actually spend the money.
Good point.
That's important, especially if you're going to compete in a NRA service rifle match. With a service rifle, it's got to look like an Army issue type of gun. You can't change the handle. You can't change the guards. You can't put Picatinny rails on it. That becomes a match rifle. So it's important to know the rules for a service rifle and a match rifle and any type of competition you're going to enter. There's rules on what the guns are supposed to look like and how the trigger works.
You're listening to AM 560 WIND. This is On Target Radio, and Andy has something he wants to say to Tim. Andy?
Hello.
Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I fully agree with Tim's rant there. My daughter taught her how to shoot this year and everything, and she knows that the difference between a handgun, a rifle, and a squirt gun, which is very important.
How old is she?
She's 11.
Good.
Oh, that's good age.
Well, thank you, Andy, but now I'm going to have this swollen-headed guy here, you know?
I actually paid Andy, so.
All right.
This is Ed. It's important for any gun owner actually to get their wife's, daughters, and all to participate in any kind of a firearm safety class. The Aurora Sportsman's Club offers free safety classes for women, just so they know how to unload and put your gun away in the safe. If you have a senior moment and leave it laying out, they can pick it up and safely put it away. That's the most important thing to teach your spouses and family.
All right, gentlemen, I certainly want to thank all three of you for being here. Ed Janka, Lynn Garnand, and Bob Brudd. It's been an interesting show. I appreciate all you've had to share with us about reloading and long-distance shooting. I'd like to thank Vicki Cohen, our call screener, and I certainly want to thank George Hoffman on the board. Specifically, I would like to thank our sponsors, Don Mastriani of Illinois Gun Works and John Riggio of Chuck's Gun Shop, who had faith in us before we had anything to show them. We really would like to extend a thank you to those two. Larry Pelcher from Pelcher Shooting Supply, Illinois State Rifle Association, our website developer 31 Moons, and Melanie McCluskey and Safer USA. Next week, Tim, a big surprise.
A big surprise.
Big surprise next week.
He told me about this big surprise earlier. I've been just waiting all night.
We have a big surprise next week. The surprise is we have no idea what we're going to do next week. It's going to be a surprise.
I'm always good with that. I'm good for that.
It's true. It's true.
That'll be fun.
We have one of two possibilities, and no one's returning the call. We're either going to have, in celebration of Veterans Day, we're trying to line up a World War II vet, Korea, Vietnam, Gulf I, and Gulf II. It's either that in the studio, or we're going to talk about Second Amendment.
Paintball war in the hallway.
Paintball war in the hallway. Got that one a little scrambled. Okay, that would be a good